Subscribe to our YouTube channel for in-depth interviews of India Inc. and press the bell icon so that you do not miss our updates.
Hello and welcome to Nirmal, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Hiral Dadia. We have with us Mr. Vijendra Singh, CEO at Metropolis Healthcare, joining in. Welcome to the show, Vijendra, and always a pleasure to speak to you. Vijendra, if you could just help us understand firstly, with regards to Metropolis, from a standalone diagnostic lab to one of the leading national diagnostic chains, how have we actually transformed ourselves like this?
So the company was started in early 80s, 1981, by Dr. Sushil Shah. He himself is a pathologist, and he sort of used to work with various hospitals in setting up their labs. So he is one of the pioneer in terms of setting up a lab. So what he saw that in early 80s that there was a big opportunity in terms of providing specialized tests to B2B customers. Because that time there were many labs, but that time there were only routine testing in India. So there was no state of art facility, no specialized test. So this is something which he saw, and then he started with a specialized lab catering to B2B labs, and from there he started growing. And then in the meantime, he kept on bringing new technology and brought in new tests to India also. So he was pretty much growing that way. And then in 2001, Amira Shah joined him. She was in US, and then finally she decided to come back to India, and that's how the company was rebranded as Metropolis. And then through various rounds of private equity funding, the company was able to expand their footprints to other cities also through acquisition. So acquisition was one of the key strategy in the organized to grow faster, and this is how the company got built on acquisition. And then also the basic DNA of the company was to grow on the back of scientific base and also grow ethically. So this is something which has been very, very important and close to all of us at Metropolis. So today we have about 125 labs across the country and also in international market in Africa also. So this is how we built this company.
Right. So, if you have to consider the industry dynamics at present, a lot of chains that are already there, how is Metropolis placed?
See, in India, there are more than 1 lakh plus labs, and there are no sort of entry barriers. There are no certifications or accreditations which are like mandatory for any lab. Though there is NABL and CAP also, but these are all voluntary. However, at Metropolis, we strongly believe in not just accrediting our labs to NABL or a CAP. We do have accreditations, but internal processes are very, very strong because, as I said, in our DNA, accuracy of results is extremely important. So there are three values which Metropolis follows. First is integrity, then we have accuracy of results, and then empathy. So these are three different things which Metropolis believes strongly into and keeps us different, gives an edge over competition. Now, number two point is that during COVID, you must have seen that many of the labs got shut also in the early time period of COVID when COVID got started. So still there are many labs which are struggling because nowadays there has been a lot more sort of new ways of doing business. So companies have to really invest behind technology and then skilled people also, which I believe that these small players would not be able to invest. They would lack in capital to invest into technology. So I think somewhere down the line, Metropolis is well set to benefit out of this.
Right. And overall, if you could just help us understand the geographical presence of Metropolis, how are we placed right now in terms of which region gives us maximum, market share, and how do we look to strategize to expand to other areas where our presence is still a little short?
So Metropolis is a pan-India company. We have a strong presence across the country, and not only country but also, as I said, in Africa countries also. But majorly want to focus into domestic market because there we see a lot of opportunity. So if you look at Metropolis strength, I think for ages we have been pretty much strong in South India and West India. In fact, we are market leaders in these two regions. Apart from this, if you look at our strategy, we have bucketed our cities into three different categories. So first category we call as focus cities, and there are about 5 cities which fall in this category. And these 5 cities primarily are from our west and south region, which are our strong areas. Whereas there is a second bucket which we created, we call them as seeding cities. And these seeding cities are basically have been picked up from all the 4 regions. There are markets like Delhi, then Calcutta, which are from east region and north region, and plus south and west also. So these seeding cities, the purpose is to actually invest behind these markets through sales and marketing interventions, through building infrastructure also, so that these markets also would become ready in order to take for future growth. However, the main focus has been into these focus cities, where we are market leaders. Out of these 5 cities, 4 cities we are market leaders, and one market probably we're going to be market leader very soon, and that's what our endeavor would be. And the purpose of these focus cities primarily is to grow our B2C segment, and this is what in past 5 years we've seen good traction on the B2C through our third party expansion. And today we enjoy a good B2C market in terms of our internal sort of contribution of segment. So this itself will drive in future also.
Right. So overall, right now, in terms of business, that's in terms of geographical expansion, in terms of strategy. COVID was never a part of business, in the last probably 12 to 18 months. Now that it has entered, how has the impact of COVID been on business, and how is non-COVID business faring? Because already there is so much of pressure with regards to COVID test, etc. A lot of other, non-COVID tests are something which are somewhere on a back burner.
Yeah, see, COVID initially when started, I think that point of time there was a bit of challenge also, because nobody knew that what's going to be the future as far as COVID is concerned, because there was no sort of particular idea about COVID, because there were no treatments and no sort of vaccine at that point of time. So it badly hit our non-COVID business, especially in Q1 last year. But from June onwards, we could see that COVID actually supported a lot in terms of contribution, in terms of taking up the loss on non-COVID. However, Q3 onwards, we've seen that non-COVID have been back to normal, and in Q4, I'm seeing that we've seen that there is a positive growth on non-COVID also. But of course, on the back of COVID, there has been some advantages also, but there are many disadvantages also. The company's focus primarily has been actually to work continuously to engage with our customers, so that they should feel that when they need us, Metropolis is there, and that is what has driven our non-COVID business also. And today we are positive plus as far as non-COVID business is concerned.
Right. And then right now, Vijendra, if you could just help me understand what is the situation like with regards to, COVID on ground, because there's so much going on. I mean, you have your normal testings going on. I mean, there is shortage of beds around. As a medical expert, as an expert from the fraternity, what do you pick up and gather?
I think there is a bit of upsurge once again, and somewhere down the line, I think that we became complacent also as consumers, as citizens of India, whereas government has been actively doing various things from their front, but I think somewhere down the line we all became a bit complacent. But this upsurge has definitely been this new wave is much more intense than the earlier one, but definitely the situations are not that bad if I compare ourselves in Q1 of last year, because that time we didn't have too many suppliers. Today we have multiple levels of suppliers. We were expanded our COVID testing into some 12 to 15 cities across the country, and we intend to expand our capacity also. But the wave is much more sort of stiff this time. I think the solution lies in building the capacity and doing more and more testing on the COVID front, so that the panic levels of consumers can be controlled. So this is something very, very extremely important, and that's what at Metropolis also we've been working hard 24/7 in order to improve our efficiencies, improve our capacity also. But what matters is more and more testing, and of course I have to have better sort of facilities for quarantine, especially in hospitals, or like last year government chose some of the hospitals and the hotels also, which were converted into quarantine centers. This is what I think government of India is working hard on it, and I think that in a couple of times probably things will be under control. That's what my belief is.
Right. And overall, moving away from there, what are the kind of key strategies that the company is undertaking to strengthen the brand? Because yes, we are already strong with regards to presence, with regards to brand name. And what's the strategy to grow the business from here on?
Yeah, I think with COVID, since the way of older ways of working have changed, and in fact pre-COVID days also this home delivery systems were really growing fast. We also had these home collection services, but with COVID coming into place, I think in Q2 we started building our capacity on the home visit, and we started building capacity in our 5 focus cities, and then later on we expanded to other cities also. Today we have a direct home visit services in almost about 58 cities. And this is something which will be a continuous process, and we do keep adding a few cities every quarter, so that at least end of the day we are present in terms of home visit as far as 100 plus cities are concerned. So this is one big piece which has been part of our strategy. I think second is on the digital side also we have spent a lot in terms of building various platforms, because convenience is something which is the need of our, and that is what we've worked a lot on digital platforms. We have created various platforms on B2B side. We've created customer apps to interact with consumers so that consumers feel convenience in getting in touch with the brand. Another part is that we've also rejuvenated our website in order to engage with customers. Now the customers can actually order on website. They can get their reports on the website itself, and plus they can also get a lot of knowledge related to COVID and non-COVID stuff during these days. I think digital is something which Metropolis in the past couple of months have done a good job, and it's going to be consistently we will be investing behind digitization in order to bring in more convenience, to have better standard experience across the group.
Right. And then from here on, with all of these initiatives, we have seen a lot of successful acquisitions as well that Metropolis has done. High-tech diagnostics, which is underway, is one of the biggest ones. And if you could just throw us some light on the strategy here with regards to acquisitions, and what is the future plan on this front? How much are we looking to spend to grow in a certain manner?
Yeah, I think in last 20 years, we have done about 22 successful acquisitions. And I think this is something which differentiates Metropolis from others also, because acquiring 22 big acquisitions and then successfully integrating and then scaling up is something which I think we have a strong sort of experience on that. So we are well placed as far as acquisition opportunities are concerned. This 23rd, which we are going to finish probably very soon, this high tech. Eventually, acquisition will help us in creating that dominance and increasing our B2C contribution within focus cities. So one I think focus is to actually drive our dominance in our focus cities and also expand to newer cities also, whether it is North India, whether it is many other metro towns, and then the whole purpose would be to target something which is good in terms of business, quality of business, and which eventually will help us in actually fitment of our strategy in terms of growing our B2C business.
Right. And overall, if you could just help me understand again from a longer term perspective, Vijendra, what is our outlook if you have to take the next 3 years to 5 years into perspective? Where do we plan to reach from here on? What are the key milestones we are looking to cross?
I think there are there are so much of opportunities in diagnostics, and especially during COVID. I think one of the important things which Metropolis kind of companies would enjoy is that there is a good amount of awareness in the consumer's mind about quality of results and hygiene and safety factors. These are the deciding factors, and I think Metropolis is well set as far as these 3 things are concerned. Number 2, there's a big opportunity where there is a lot of shift going to happen from unorganized players to organized because of these 3 reasons which I just mentioned. So this is a bit of a good opportunity. Number 2, I think is as we move forward, there is going to be an insurance also coming into India for diagnostics also. So companies like Metropolis are also going to benefit out of it by sheer having good strong presence across the country. So these are 2-3 important things which eventually will take help Metropolis in remaining ahead of the curve as far as growth are concerned. And next is I think consolidation also, because nowadays the smaller players would not be able to have enough capital to invest into their business to sustain, and there may be issues related to scale and also. Metropolis actually rightly fits into this big opportunity of consolidation also.
Right. And Vijendra, very lastly, overall, right now, an interesting point that someone brought up as well is that taking the surge that we are seeing due to COVID into consideration right now, yes, there are capacity constraints. As you mentioned, testing needs to be increased, centers need to be increased. Is there a cross functioning happening between diagnostic laboratories to work together? Like, say, probably a thyrocare outsourcing from Metropolis, or a Metropolis outsourcing from a SRL, mainly due to this surge?
See, as of now, there has been a platform where we all have been talking on various challenges in order to come on one platform and discuss our difficulties and challenges. But primarily, it's to do with to work with the agencies or through government authorities to share our viewpoint in order to help the government also as far as testing is concerned. But as of now, jointly we've not worked together as far as sharing of capacity is concerned. But on the non-COVID piece, I think one important thing is that where I think Metropolis is well placed because we have the highest test menu. We do almost about 4,000 tests, and we get a lot of tests from across the B2B players. By sheer having this capability of doing widest test menu. But as far as COVID is concerned, we've not shared capacity. But yes, you never know that something may come up as and when there's a need.
Absolutely. And I think this is the best time to be in a phase of competition versus of competition in times of crisis. Thank you, Vijendra, so much for joining us on the show. As always, a pleasure to speak to you. Stay safe, good luck working, and thank you for helping everyone with COVID around, with the kind of work that you guys are doing as well. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Hiral. Thanks. It's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much. Thanks.